It all started a few hours ago, when Takuya, a private detective, rescued Yuki from what they call the organization. For normal people, the organization doesn't even exist. The organization had been experimenting on Yuki for some time now, and someone had paid Takuya to rescue her. He does just that. Takuya, however, wasn't expecting so much company, which brings us back to the purple glowing monk. The strange monk magically appears on top of their scooter and starts projecting red balls of death when suddenly Yuki snaps. She clutches Takuya firmly, and out of nowhere an explosion occurs, evaporating the strange monk away. There is no time to stop, however, as the organization's helicopter is still on their backs. Luckily, a truck comes by and opens up, allowing for Takuya and Yuki to enter and hide. They had managed to escape the organization, for now. So who was Yuki, and why was the organization looking for her? 3 years ago, a massive explosion occurred in the country which leads to the death and/or disappearance of several thousand people. The impact of the explosion left a massive hole that exists even today. The place is now called the Lost and is surrounded by mystery, as so far any survey team that has been sent to the location has returned dead. No one can enter the Lost. Yuki, however, is an exception. She is the only person who had survived the Lost explosion, and so she was being experimented on by the organization. The organization was working with the help of Tamashii, or rather using them. Tamashii being the souls of the deceased victims of the Lost, who seemed to be trapped in the human world with strange powers, similar to that monk. Eiji, the man who came to Takuya and Yuki's rescue and coincidentally is also the man who asked Takuya to rescue Yuki, explains the situation. He tells Takuya that a few days ago they had received a strange message. When decoded, it called out, "Yuki, I'm waiting at the Lost." It was from Yuki's father, meaning that he was still alive. Eiji requests Takuya to take Yuki to the Lost. Despite the risks involved, Takuya agrees to take Yuki to the Lost, and the two set out. First though, Takuya heads straight to his friend Geek. Geek is the one who had designed Takuya's indestructible scooter, so Takuya goes to get it fixed. While Geek is getting the scooter repaired, Yuki seems to be troubled. Not by the fact that she was alive, but by the fact that her father was alive too, and for so long she hadn't been able to do anything about it. Runs away on her own into the city. Unable to find Yuki anywhere near, Takuya quickly storms into the city. However, since he is still being tracked by the organization, he cannot move as freely as he wanted to. Moreover, not only did he need to find Yuki, he also needed to find a safe path to get to the Lost. Takuya then calls his friend Yumiko, who has been in the organization for some time now, to ask for help. He practically demands her to give him the safest path to head to Lost, and like a true detective manages to find Yuki out by the end of the day. The girl was heading to Lost alone. He promises her that he would help her no matter what and puts her back on the scooter. Just as the two head back, however, the organization manages to catch up once more. The helicopter arrives behind their back and the same weird monk ghosts before them. The monk starts using his powers to throw the rubble around at them. Despite incurring several injuries though, Takuya manages to keep the scooter balanced and charges at the monk. Yuki can't take it anymore. She can't see more people getting hurt at her expense. She wails in anger and regrets when suddenly a red charge emits from her body and suddenly a Tamashii is formed in her defense. Akira, her bodyguard who had died in the Lost trying to protect her, appears, guns blazing, and blasts the monk out of existence. The excess rubble goes and hits the helicopter, and it crashes as well, giving the duo a perfect opportunity to escape. Finally safe, the two head to the Lost, but their troubles are not yet over, as a strange kid appears at the middle of the street and uses some strange magical powers to crash the scooter. Takuya is thrown off the scooter and hurled to the cemented floor and off the road, while Yuki is carefully placed by the side of another van. From the van exits Yumiko. The strange boy orders the main lady Suzuna to take proper care of Yuki this time and restrain her well, and also asks her to kill Takuya while they are at it. When the strange boy is gone, Suzuna gives the same orders to Yumiko and leaves as well, warning her to not let her personal feelings come in the way of work. Yumiko, her assistant Kuda, and another member of the organization place Yuki on the van and head to finish off Takuya. Yumiko pulls out her gun, but she shoots the organization member instead. All of them then head to Yumiko's secret hideout, a worn-down building in the middle of an abandoned city. Yumiko tries to persuade Takuya to stop his foolishness and forget about heading to the Lost, but being the dedicated person he is, Takuya refuses to go back on his words. He refuses to break the contract. However, the reach of the organization is beyond extraordinary. Within hours of them getting there, they have already been found. The whole building is already surrounded, so the four of them head to the sewers to find a proper escape route. Midway through their escape, however, the organization members manage to track them down there as well. Suzuna has already arrived there with her goons. Yumiko quickly opens up a secret compartment and pushes the three and tells them to escape, while she holds off the crazy organization workers. Suddenly a knife flies out of nowhere and stabs Kuda in the back. Within a second he drops to the floor. He grunts and tells them to keep moving as behind them a random dude appears. As expected, the man starts attacking the two. Fortunately, Geek manages to arrive on time with his truck and drive them away, but the strange man and his swords follow the truck at an alarming speed as well. With no other options, Yuki and Takuya head back to confront the guy and perhaps subdue him. Takuya manages to snatch the guy's knife in hopes that perhaps his soul was attacked there, but unfortunately the Tamashii gets even angrier and starts attacking at incredible speed. Yet again Yuki manages to summon Akira, who arrives guns blazing. The man starts firing at the Tamashii with pistols and eventually has to use a submachine gun to finish it off. Yet again, after escaping another near-death scenario, Yuki, Takuya and Geek head to the Lost. Back at the sewers, Suzuna confronts Yumiko and wonders why she would betray the all-knowing organizations for some guy. The answer is pointless, however, since Suzuna is about to kill Yumiko anyway. She shoots the girl twice, but before she could end her she suddenly walks away, claiming that the power has awakened. An injured Yumiko trots toward where she sent Yuki and the group. She gives Takuya a call to see if he was okay, and after getting a positive response, she starts looking for Kyoto. Takuya and the group on the other hand are deep into Wander territory on their way to the Lost. However, something is strange. On their way they notice a poster of the concert of the band SPR5. One issue though, the band was all killed during the Lost incident. Geek, being the mega fan of SPR5, instantly recognizes this and points it out, but things are going to get weirder. The trio wanders around the place and stumbles upon the members of the SPR5 outside a concert hall arguing among themselves. One of the members, Yuatan, who is rumored to have not appeared in the final concert of SPR5. Yua seems to be disgruntled at her team members and especially at her producer and storms off. Geek wants to go and help, but Takuya reminds him it's all some sort of an illusion because the SPR5 were long dead. The trio keeps moving ahead but again and again find themselves at the same place before the SPR members arguing. They were stuck in a time loop of some kind. Unable to hold himself this time, and hoping that somehow he can change the past, Geek goes after Yua to confront her and tell her to go and see her friend, because if she doesn't go to the concert she would regret it. Geek follows Yua all the way to her favorite place by the river and explains everything to her. The girl at first seems adamant, and even explains that her producer had been making plans to break their band. He was speaking cryptically earlier, telling them that SPR-5 was meant to disappear. Yua has repeated that fate and refuses to go, but soon Yuki appears there as well and forces Yua to face her friends and avoid that regret. She pulls her by her hands and takes her back to the concert hall. Takuya, on the other hand, gets suspicious of the producer and enters the concert hall to look for him, but the man is nowhere to be found. He was not there on the day of the Lost, meaning he was definitely behind all of this and perhaps linked to the organization as well. Outside though, Yua with Yuki's help finally meets up with her friends and apologizes. As the idol heads in for her concert, the surrounding changes, and they are all transported back to the real world, on the path to the Lost. Geek quickly checks the internet to see if the past had changed, but nothing had happened. The past was still the same. The ghost earlier was Yua's Tamashii, who was filled with regret that she couldn't face her friends, and with Yuki and Geek's help she was finally able to face that regret. It didn't change the past, but she was now free. Frustrated, Geek feels a bit too overwhelmed to carry on the journey, so he stays back, but Yuki and Takuya continue toward Lost. The road to Lost, however, is filled with peril, and yet again the strange boy who almost killed Takuya appears and stops them in their tracks. The boy opens his hood and surprise, it's Yuki's brother Soma. Soma also appears to have survived the Lost, and is now evil for some reason. The boy commands his sister to return back to the organization and starts using his powers to torture Takuya. Yuki gets agitated and yells at her brother to stop. However, when he doesn't, she suddenly starts emitting a strange white light, and a massive explosion occurs. The next thing we see is that Takuya is severely injured and being treated in a worn-down hospital. Thankfully, Yuki is fine and is sitting outside alongside Eiji, Yumiko, and Geek. As Yuki, Geek, and Eiji head outside, they are stopped by two police detectives, Ryoko and Aoyama. The whole country was in shock after last night's explosion, and people were calling the event a second Lost. The police had spotted only one vehicle going that way, and that was Yuki and Takuya. Eiji makes up an excuse and tells the police officers that Yuki and Takuya were college students on a date there, and also explains that her father passed away there, so Yuki wanted to go to see it, and was just caught up in the explosion. Ryoko, although not convinced, lets them go, promising to visit them soon. Elsewhere, a really cool magician named Yoshiaki, whose powers include his ability to be able to erase anything from existence, is giving his magic show. After finishing his show, Yoshiaki goes to his office where Hidaka, a private detective, is waiting for him. The detective offers him help to search for his long-lost brother, in exchange for some serious cash, of course. After swindling the magician with his sweet talk and some evidence, Hidaka goes back to his agency where Ryoko is waiting for him. Ryoko was an old acquaintance of his and asks him about the man driving Yuki to the Lost, Takuya. After that, Ryoko goes to visit Yuki once more at Eiji's place to know what exactly was going on, and manages to get as much info as she can from Yuki. Turns out Ryoko's parents had died in the Lost as well, so the two girls find common ground in their loss. Yuki reveals how she had been experimented on by Lacuna Chemicals, a massive company in the country which deals with different scientific experiments. Ryoko heads straight to the company to interrogate, but the company people do not intend to talk or let them enter unless they have a warrant. When Ryoko returns back to her office, her boss reprimands her and removes her from the case once and for all. However, Ryoko knows that this only happens when someone is close to the truth. Lacuna Chemicals had one major rival during the day, and during the loss that company was obliterated with all its assets destroyed. Ryoko finds out that Lacuna Chemicals purposely lured the other company into buying all its assets in the Lost Impact Zone. Ryoko and her assistant Aoyama head to the abandoned zone to see if they can find and written proof, and soon, in one of the buildings, Ryoko finds the papers showing how Lacuna pulled out of buying the properties at the last moment, making the other company fall for its tricks. Just as Ryoko gets the paper she was looking for, her assistant walks to her and plunges a knife onto her back. Aoyama was also with the organization. He snatches the paper from Ryoko and leaves her to die. That's it for part 1. Subscribe for part 2.
How was the video? We hope it was good. If so, please check these videos. Also, please comment down your thoughts and your suggestions for future videos. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing now to show the support to our channel. We hope to see you soon with another video right in this channel. Have a nice day.